You start us off this time. I can do it if you need me to.
I don't know how to. Like, what do I say? Like, hey, we're talking about anxiety now. Go.
Hey, anxiety! Ah!
Hey,
Speaking of anxiety,
put on the spot. Say something.
I know that's always how it goes, isn't it?
It's just like when we're doing conventions together, and you're like, "Okay, Kassie, you say something." I have nothing to say. Oh, come on, say something. Don't be shy. No, really, I have no clue what to say. So go away. Take all the focus off me, like right now.
Well, I thought it'd be a good idea to have a talk time about something that we both know, and is considered, one of those invisible illnesses because it doesn't really have a visible component, so to speak. But it's something that affects a lot of people, and it's something that a lot of people ignore because, like they don't see, like you don't have a cough or something,
Yeah.
you don't have a limp or something, but it is anxiety. And anxiety is a terrible thing. It's one of the worst things in the world, I think. And for a while I suffered from terrible, terrible anxiety, and it's mostly gone away, although it comes back, from time to time. And it's especially something like when you're in times of stress that it can come back, and it's terrible because, like, even if you know that, everything's going to be okay, you're really blowing it out of proportion, it's nothing to worry about, nonetheless you get worried about it, and if it's bad enough, you feel like you're going to die at every moment. And I really hate it when it's to the point where it's so bad that, like, you feel like you can't breathe, like it's restrictive, and you don't want anything to touch your chest. Like, even if you're lying down and trying to relax, you don't put your hand over your chest, you don't put your arm on your chest. It really is crippling. I've known people with crippling anxiety, like you can't do anything. And it's a horrible, horrible sensation. It's a terrible thing. And I think people aren't aware enough of it. I think people aren't aware enough of it.
Yeah. Right.
Is this gonna be it? Is this gonna be the whole talk time? That's it.
Well, why not give some examples? I'm sorry, this was something you really wanted to talk about. So
I thought you were gonna talk about it too.
Well, I am, but at this point in time, what do I say?
Well, I just
ask me some questions. Like, I don't know.
Well, tell me what your thoughts and experiences are with anxiety and panic.
Well, my thoughts on it are I didn't really have a word for some of the things I felt until I was in college, because I've never...
So all that experimenting with lesbianism and stuff.
Yes, all that experimenting with lesbian I did. Lesbian?
The secret element of lesbians. The lesbian.
We're so turning this into a show. Oh, wait. No. This is with Kitsamon. This is part of Kitsamon. And if you don't know anything about that, you haven't listened to Outfox.
Oh man, it's been so long since we've been able to do Outfoxed.
One day, maybe. One day.
One day we'll do it again.
But, in my life,
that was an old reference. I can't believe, like, thinking back, I can't believe how long it's been. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like 2 years or something.
I know.
But, ever since I was a little kid, I was heavily bullied. And it got to the point where my mother wouldn't even let me outside. On top of the fact that Mom had her own problems, which, we've discussed the possibilities of. And, also wouldn't let me outside for those reasons. And what also didn't help was that I have someone in my life, and you know who I'm talking about, who is very emotionally and mentally abusive.
Yeah.
And only in the last few years have I been able to finally, having my own place helps a lot, but it doesn't stop him from being in my life as much as I would like to keep distancing myself from this person.
Yeah.
But I always, I never really understood why I started to become afraid of interacting with people. Not terrified to the point where, I couldn't leave my home or anything, but really where instead of going out, I just want to stay home and not have to go and do anything. I don't want to have to walk to the store. I don't want to have to walk to the library. It's not really a convenience thing, though it would be nice if I could just, not have to do that. But mostly because I personally don't want to have anything to do with other people. It is very difficult for me to have anything to do with other people who I'm not immediately close to. Hushicho, Hawkeye, Dave, anybody else, I'm gonna be really fucking awkward with you because I'm terrified of you. I'm scared of you. And it's no fault of your own. It's just, you have to understand what has happened in my past to make me who I am now. But once I got into college, I really started to know this thing where I started to think things like, people are looking at me, and they're thinking bad things about me. And that doesn't make any sense if that's what you think. And I'm like, that's fucking stupid, but I feel dumb, bending over next to the candy machine, getting a bag of chips or something. Who cares? It's just some other person standing there getting a fucking bag of chips. They don't care, but for some reason you think they do.
Yeah.
It's just weird ass paranoia going on there.
It really is. And I had similar experiences too. I mean, I was often bullied and picked on because, of course, we moved around so many times, and I was always the odd one out. I was always the one that didn't fit in and wasn't exactly like everyone else, and so that was another thing. And my parents had this insistence that I be outgoing and extroverted and do all these social things. Well, I didn't want to do that shit.
Yeah. Well, my mother was kind of the opposite. She didn't really want me to go. But like I said, she had her own issues.
Yeah.
With her mind. And probably some of that rubbed off on me without me even realizing.
Yeah, it can.
But, go ahead.
But I was just going to say, it's interesting, though, to look at how even almost the opposite in some cases can lead to such a similar outcome anyway. It still leads to problems like we both had.
Yeah.
And, even though our circumstances weren't the same, it still has led to, some emotional difficulty, I think. And, I'm the same way. I would rather be at home all the time. And I'm perfectly happy to interact through the internet. I love the fact that we have internet now where we can do things like we're doing right now. We can talk with each other, we can spend time together, and, sometimes you just need to be alone and recharge, and that's okay.
I mean, sometimes I do get cabin fever, and I'm just like, nope, gonna go in Midland today and walk around and look at the shops and stuff, which I did one day. I'm just like, no, I'm gonna go hang out at Midland. I cannot stand to be home right now because I've been here for weeks and I have not left except for maybe to go pick up some food or something.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too. I mean, I usually go out once weekly to do my errands, get my groceries and essentials, like do my shopping if I need to, take the recycling, etc. I don't really go out too terribly much other than that, because really I most of the time I'm either working or I just don't want to, because there's not a lot to do.
Yeah.
Unless you are going to spend some money.
Yeah.
And
the theater's like $12 now? Unless you want to go to the drive-in, and then that's like $7-something a person.
Yeah, and like even and the bargain cinema, it's if anything's playing you really want to see, and you're still probably going to spend money on refreshments, because if I'm actually going out, it's kind of an event. So I kind of, I always kind of feel like,
except with the drive-in, we can take our own Cokes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to pay to get in and watch like 2 movies.
Yeah.
Sometimes they show 3. And then I think that's like $8-something if they show 3.
Yeah, I just, I think that people don't understand, like they think a lot of the time that, like almost like there's something wrong with people that don't want to just get out all the time and aren't refreshed around other people. But it's like, there is a very big difference between introverts and extroverts, but there's also a big difference between people that suffer from social anxiety and anxiety in general and people that don't. Like it's a lot of people just don't understand how it feels to be affected by it pretty much all the time. Like it's pretty much always on. It's not like at panic levels all the time, but it's something where you'd really rather not go out and be around a lot of people and spend the money and, all this stuff that when you go out, you're probably going to want to do anyway. So, I mean, it's just one of those things, but when it does get really bad, I mean, it is, sometimes things get to the point where, I've been out sometimes and I'll feel it start, and I know, like, I need to get home now. I need to go home now, and I don't need to be out when it's like this, because if I'm out, it will get worse. It will snowball, and it will get worse. But even with things that I should know, like, there's nothing wrong with this. There's no problem here. I'm not going to die. There's no threat. There's no real problem here. Sometimes things that are just, to most people, would be just inconvenient. To me, I have had some really bad experiences with, like the dentist. Like we've talked about this in the talk time in the past, because of my mother working for a dentist for a while, and a lot of drama, a lot of bad things, like being not treated particularly well. I have found it a very hard process, and now I'm much more okay with it. Now I don't really have anxiety related to the dentist anymore, which is tremendous. I know a lot of people probably don't understand how significant this is, but it's really, really major to me. Like, it's a big, big thing to me.
I mean, I don't have anxiety about that as much as you do, but I do worry when I'm at the dentist, because usually they do find something wrong, and then they have to do work where they're like, well, you're gonna lose your teeth if you don't.
Yeah.
But, it's up to you. And I don't know. I've just always, like, never have I don't want to say a freak out, because it's a little, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But, it's just like, I would rather be somewhere else than the dentist right now. Even though I've been to the dentist before, and they're nice people, and they're not doing anything mean or rude to upset me. It's just the fact that I'm there at the dentist.
Yeah. Not something you really, really want, but it's
like going to for some reason the dentist is more stressful than the doctor's office. I don't understand how.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like, I don't know how that works, but I'm pretty much the same way. Like, if I have to go see the doctor, it's usually because something's wrong, I know it's wrong, and I want to get it fixed. But at the dentist, it's like, you don't know if something's wrong. In fact, you probably think something's not wrong. And the best case scenario is that you walk out of there still thinking that something isn't wrong. But there's also the likelihood that they will tell you that something is in fact wrong, and that you weren't aware of it all this time. So I think that's kind of it, because, like, it's more unexpected when you go in thinking you're okay.
I've always had shit teeth. So maybe that's just it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the best case scenario when you go to the dentist is that he will tell you, yeah, you're fine, there's nothing wrong. Like and you go in with that assumption most of the time. And unlike when you go to the doctor, where usually if you go to the doctor, it's because you know something's wrong. Like, you know something's wrong and it needs to be fixed. But, like, I don't know, like, the best case scenario when you go to the dentist is that you're right and nothing's wrong. Is that your assumptions are basically endorsed. But when you go to the doctor, it's like, you know something's wrong, you know something needs to be done about it. But I don't know. Anyway, that's sort of my thoughts on it. But,
I want to ask you a question. Do you ever have an issue with calling people on the phone?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. I actually, I don't know why. I don't know why, because I can do Skype easily.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's because you're talking to me. I'm your friend. I don't have an issue talking with you, but I have like these other people on Skype that I'm supposed to be doing Town of Salem with, and I'm terrified to death of actually getting into a game with them. Because then you start thinking all these dumb things. Like, what if I don't like them? What if this doesn't work out? And you're just like, well, then we just don't do a game. That's just how that works. What if I fuck up in the game and do something really stupid? Well, it'll probably be really funny and great for the show. Then people can laugh at me and then subscribe to my channel. But you think all these horrible, terrible things, and in the end, they're not really all that horrible and terrible. Like like when I had to call the internet people because they fucked up my internet.
Yeah.
And that took me like weeks to do. Because I was terrified of calling them. And I don't know why. But I was so worried about it. And I kept trying to think, well, do I really have to? Can I fix this some other way where I don't have to call them? And the answer is no. It's like, it doesn't matter what I do. It can't be fixed unless I call them.
Yeah. Yeah, it used to be a bit worse for me. I've gotten way better at Skype. I actually used to be really shy over Skype as well. And I think just talking to several of my friends, talking to you, doing in so many ways, doing Bad Fan Fiction Theatre and the other shows has helped me so much, because I'm not as reluctant to engage over Skype anymore. It's much easier for me. And like, I can do videos, like I can do video recording, not showing me, of course, because I'm still shy about that. But like, actually speaking over videos or reading something on a video or something like that. Like, I can do that. I can totally, I've got it. But yeah, I'm shy with new people. And on telephones, for some reason, despite the fact that I'm generally okay over Skype, although it can be really exhausting to talk with someone I'm not very, very familiar with. Mm-hmm. It's even exhausting to talk to people that I really care about and I'm close to sometimes, because like, sometimes I'm just not in the mood to talk and I don't feel like I have anything to say that's useful, but I'm getting past that now. I'm getting to the point where like, some people I can just be with, like, we don't have to talk about something that's super exciting, or I don't feel obligated to keep the conversation going all the time, come up with all these brilliant and hilarious things to say, because it doesn't matter, because you care about spending time with that person, and it's not all about filling the void,
Yeah. I think that's about it for me. I'm like trying to think about what are other stupid things I worry about. I just can't really think of anything else.
I think that I think we have covered most all of it, and of course it can tie into depression as well, which is terrible. It's a terrible pair, a terrible twosome.
Oh God, let me tell you about depression. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Was that a prompt to actually start talking about it?
I don't know. I mean, we could probably do one on it sometime too, because we both suffer from that too. But
I felt a lot better now that I have removed myself from a certain situation of a certain person. But
yeah, Yeah, and it can be like that. I mean, single individual people can have a huge influence on a lot of issues, a lot of things like anxiety and depression. A single person can be a horrible anxiety trigger, and it's really terrible when someone has become that. And sometimes it's through no fault of their own, but a lot of the time it's something that they know they're doing, and
Yeah.
but it is a terrible thing, and I think more people should be aware of it. So, I mean, I know we can't possibly cover everything about anxiety here, but I think people should really be aware of it, and I think they should look up stuff and try and understand that it's probably not you if someone is, reluctant to talk on the phone, or they don't call a lot, or they'd rather have email or do Skype or whatever.
Yeah, my aunt was like, at Christmas, she's like, "Oh, you got a phone number? Can I have it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, you can have it." She's like, "You should call us." And I'm like, I love you. I don't really know you all that well because you're dad's side of the family. But, think of an excuse as to why you're not comfortable calling them.
Yeah. And it's really kind of, like, it's something I know I don't like having to think up, an explanation, because most of the time people don't really understand. Like, they wouldn't understand if I'm like, yeah, I have anxiety. I don't really like to talk to people on the phone. You can call me sometime, but you kind of have to tell me beforehand. But hey, email.
Yeah. If somebody wants to, I can be anxiety a bit about email too, but I'm usually okay with replying to people on the internet and stuff.
Yeah. I feel like as long as I have the time and opportunity to write something and then read it over and look at my words and be okay with those words, then I'm okay. But when I'm when it's engaging in real time, when I don't really have the time to look over what I'm saying, I don't have the ability to press the backspace key and redo that. So it can really be very...
Stop. Rewind.
Yeah.
What I meant to say was, you look good in that dress, rather than that dress looks awful on you.
Oh, hell no. But,
it's like that easy button off of that, what was it, a insurance commercial?
I don't think I
want to
saw
say
that.
It was car insurance or something. Or was that Staples? Some company had an easy button thing, and that was their commercials for a while. You press the easy button and life just gets easier for you. And I'm like, yes, please, I want one of those.
Yeah, I really think not enough people understand the challenges that people go through every day that suffer from anxiety. And it doesn't even have to be full-blown panic attacks all the time. It doesn't have to be something that, you're sat in your room curled up with the lights all off, under the covers or whatnot, you don't even dare to. It doesn't have to be that drastic. And most of the time, the people that suffer from things like that, you will probably never really see it. You'll probably never really notice because they're expert at hiding it at this point. So I think people should just try and be more understanding, because it's so rare that anybody will allow themselves to be seen, because it feels like, you can't help but feel like it's almost like a weakness, or it's a fault with you or something. And it's not. It's obviously not any sort of, it's not your fault. It's not a weakness with you. It's just something that happens. And if you have a preference of staying by yourself or staying at home or whatnot, I just really wish more people would understand this, so that, people that do suffer from anxiety of a variety of kinds don't have to keep making up excuses that you can understand that sound likely, instead of us just saying, yeah, I've got a bit of social anxiety, so maybe we could just do this email until I get comfortable,
Yeah. Whee!
I guess we've pretty much just covered everything, but I really can't say enough. I hope people will learn. I hope they'll learn, and I hope they'll try and understand.
Maybe it'll help people feel a little more comfortable.
I hope so. I know how awful it is. I know how crippling it can be. I have several friends that deal with regularly worse anxiety than I do. More or less mine has kind of retreated, but in the past couple of months, oh holy shit. Like, when I got ill, when my computer crashed.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know if I was gonna retain the stuff that was irreplaceable, like literally irreplaceable. That sort of thing really can trigger anxiety. And, it's like you can't sleep, you can't rest, you cannot be at rest, you cannot be at peace. And it makes you go a little bit mad. It's terrible to feel that way. It's terrible to feel an inability to quiet all of these what ifs and all of these horrible ideas in your head that just keep getting worse and worse and worse. They just snowball constantly. And it's just like, holy shit. It's just like that whole day when I was, when the computer went so bad, I was getting ready to wind down, to go to bed, to go to sleep. And, I was up almost 12 hours after that because I could not rest. And my appointment to get the computer looked at was, hours away from when it had happened. I could not rest. My mind would not stop. My mind would not rest. Nothing was okay. I was completely, and I tried to play it off, like I wouldn't let anybody know how bad it was, but it was bad. It was very bad. It was me actually facing the possibility that I had lost, 2 months of work, which was horrifying. It is horrifying. But like, there are so many, and I don't know if it's, some people just have never been in this situation that they've had to face something like that or something. And it doesn't even have to be something real. Like, it doesn't even have to be something like that. But very often anxiety is triggered by very real things. They don't have to be as bad as you think they are. But usually it is something that, sets you off, even if it may be something that is by no means anywhere near as bad as you make it out to be in your mind. And you can't help it. You cannot help it. That's what anxiety does to you. It feels like the most important thing in the world, and thus the most difficult thing in the world. And it can sometimes make you feel like you could live or die depending on what happens, which is awful. Like, I can't imagine if I didn't know how it felt, I would find it, I'm sure it's very difficult for some people to even, like, conceive of. Mm-hmm. To think that even though nothing's really wrong, to think that, like you might die, or that, basically like the world is coming to an end because, I don't know, you have a dentist appointment or something, like but that's it's a very real thing. Like it snowballs, it gets worse so quickly. It escalates to the point where it is such a daunting prospect that you will make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, you will make it seem as bad as you fear it will be, and it's just awful. It's awful, awful. Take it away.
This has been Anxiety Talk Time by Hushicho and Klebkatt. The end.
The end.